So if you're watching the rebroadcast, congratulations. Right. Otherwise, we've been in commercial for the last 6 minutes. So
should we have our fight about Denard Robinson now? Or
no, let's not have any fight. Look at that. Now we're finally back on. All right. Thank you. Scott Trapp, thank you very much for making sure that we're on the air. So let me just get this straight. Have we been on all morning? Have we done 43 minutes by ourselves there, Eric, the referee?
No, we've been on for – that just went that way for like 2 minutes ago.
Scott Trapp, it's clearly more than 2 minutes ago. Scott Trapp, yeah.
It was 8 minutes ago, 7 minutes
ago?
It's
at least 8 minutes
Well,
ago.
Scott Trapp can't count.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
I'm the referee. I'm the referee. I can stop play whenever I want.
I love Eric, the referee.
You got the yellow flag on.
Taking it out on Scott Trapp.
All right, so let's get a little bit more perspective on this. And thank you for sticking with us if you've been watching 15 minutes of commercials rather than the show itself.
Hey, can we get a cheer for Scott Trapp real quick?
Yeah, let's give him a cheer. Hey. Thank you, Scott. Thank you.
I think what happened,
Scott probably doesn't even know because he left 8 minutes ago.
I think what happened, Eric was doing the Mike Pettin of run your punt team out, then run them back off.
Oh, that's right.
I think that's what it was. And we needed a referee to step in and tell us what was going on.
I guess we didn't know the play call.
We didn't know the play call. All right, let's go to Craig Lindell. And, hey, Craig, how are you? Waitingfornextyear.com.
Good morning, guys. How's it going? I'm going to say right off the bat, I don't have a song yet, but it's in the works.
Craig, I got to tell you, days like yesterday, or when I go, we are waiting until next year. I think at your guys' website, I go, because we're so far away. Yesterday is one of those days where you go, man, we're really far away still. You don't think so?
I'm mesmerized by the fact we weren't on the air for like 7 minutes there. No, and it is waiting for next year. Frustrated. What do you got, Scott?
It's waiting for next year, this year, because they're an average team. I want to stop short of defining them by their worst moment. They had an awful game. Sure. It was a really bad matchup. I don't think they're a great team, but I was expecting or hoping or holding them to the standard of 8 wins this year. And yesterday was a reminder of why. They made mistakes on top of mistakes, and they did it on the road. You can't get away with that kind of stuff on the road. But I want to stop short. You know, the first comment on my recap last night was, "Is it Johnny football time?"
Yeah, that's the other. We haven't even gotten to that topic yet.
No, it's not.
It's not, but it's the easy way out, Craig. You know that in this town, not just this town, any town. As long as you have that in the background, everyone goes, that fixes everything. And that does not fix everything. The other thing is, we touted this offensive line as the best in football for the last 2 weeks, and it's played really well. But they lose Alex Mack, and suddenly you go from the best to maybe not even top 20. No offense to Jacksonville, their front four is really good, but they changed the game yesterday.
Of trying to get too cute and sliding Greco over, should they have tried to replace a center with a different center and kept the rest of the line from not moving around? I mean, I don't know. I'm sure they're going to be asking themselves that question.
Well, let me bring this up. I went through everybody's Craig. I went through everybody's practice squads to see if there was a player that they could pluck from another team. One guy, Trevor Robinson, who's on the practice squad for the Bengals, who was from Notre Dame and had a couple cups of coffee with the Chargers. He's actually been on the field. And, you know, I was going back and forth because I knew Andre and I were going to have this conversation. I was like, is there anybody out there? And then you have to ask yourself, do you want to bring somebody in that doesn't know the offense, that doesn't understand it, yet understands what it means to snap the ball and block? And I think you can be torn on this.
Yeah.
I can understand why the Browns did what they did, but by the same token, I don't know. I think it's tough to ask a guy to do something he's never done in his career.
Before. That's true.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I know one thing, and I think you guys will agree with me. The Paul McQuiston experiment was a failure yesterday. I mean, you don't want to blame all one guy. You don't want to say the Browns lost because Alex Mack went down. There were plenty of other opportunities. Even as badly as the Browns played, we were all tuned in deep into the second half, thinking they had a chance because we've seen it time and again. And especially with this Browns team against a team that's decidedly worse than they are. And I still think that even after the Browns lost yesterday, they had a chance, and they just didn't pull it off yesterday. And it's going to happen. You didn't think Brian Hoyer was going to play a perfect season, did you? I mean,
no,
not to you guys, but all the fans out there. And if this is the worst of Brian Hoyer, you know, and the worst of the running game and the worst of this, well, it should be okay. They have to get it figured out, obviously, but I don't think this bad game defines the team any more than I think the first half against Pittsburgh defined this team.
You know, I'm down on the coaching staff today, and I won't give them great grades, especially offensively and Mike Pedden. But this is one of those games, in my opinion, guys, that, and we talked about this last week a little bit too, having a big-time receiver, it helps. You know, you lost the game in the trenches, but there weren't guys getting open. They were able to drop 7. Josh, right now, the whole situation with Cameron, there's no rhythm with Cameron in the quarterback. And I know everybody's excited about Josh Gordon coming back, but I feel like that's going to be a tough thing to implement that deep in the season because there's no timing. And I think yesterday is the day where you needed a big-time player to be your crutch, and they didn't have a big-time player as a crutch, guys.
Well, let me point this out, too, and we'll talk about it a little bit. So if you're Brian Hoyer and what we've seen so far, and I call it the whoopee on radio, but you've got to have something you feel comfortable with, okay? And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, for Brian Hoyer, he's comfortable with the tight ends.
Yes.
And they never got into rhythm with the tight ends yesterday. In fact,
was it 5 passes to Cameron with 1 reception, I believe?
It was,
like that.
and I looked at this, and what an old man thing to go like this. Jordan Cameron had 6 targets, and I don't seem to remember 6 targets. I remember 1 flying over his head in the end zone. 1 reception. Gary Barnidge had 1 pass thrown to him yesterday.
Yeah, that's tough because that's been his blanket. That's, like you said, that's been what he's gone to. And I think when you can drop 7 like Jacksonville was doing, and those guys aren't ultra athletic, it's an easy cover for a team like Jacksonville. And I'm not putting Josh Gordon down, but you see where I'm saying, Craig? This is kind of where we've been able to say for the first 6 weeks, hey, man, it's great they're spreading the ball out. It's great that they can get Andrew Hawkins and this guy. Yesterday was a day where you needed somebody that could run 10 yards, turn around, and you could throw him the ball no matter what.
Yeah, I don't think Jacksonville is the greatest team in the world or anything. And like you said, their front 7 is good. They were very good and disciplined in their lanes, and they took the running game away. And after that, everybody, I know it's a cliche to say that the run sets up the pass, but it's absolutely true for this Browns team because they don't have that one premier wide receiver who can just get open kind of at will or steer the defense away from the underneath routes. And I don't want to get into this whole second-guessing every move the Browns have made over the last 5 years, but I will say that I have been rethinking this idea that it's always a good idea to trade down for future picks. I mean, look, Julio Jones is long gone, but Julio Jones, Sammy Watkins, you know, at some point.
Watkins had a good day yesterday, too.
Yeah, be careful bringing up Sammy Watkins today, Craig.
Yeah, his name's
I know, but at some point, being too cute and thinking about value all the time, I mean, you have to think about value, but at the same time, it's not, sometimes I think you get a little too cute even for yourself. And that's not to say that I don't like Phil Taylor and I don't like Justin Gilbert. I don't dislike those guys, but it's at a certain point, you know, stop being so cute.
Craig, what do you got? WaitingForNextYear.com. What's coming up?
The winners and losers. There won't be a lot of winners, but if I had to call out one, I'd say Carlos Dansby was a winner. So we'll be talking about that at Waiting for Next Year today.
Hopefully my guy Tayshaun Gibson makes the winners list as well.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Craig. All right, I want to go back down to our favorite studios. We'll call these the TimCouch.com studios. You should sell your studio. You get a little money for it, at least.
I like that. That's a good idea.
You'll be the Under Armour studio today. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Hey, Tim,
We get you a shaving deal, too, if it's up to Andy.
you know, those razor blade companies are doing them. Do you have one of those?
No, I need one.
I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Dollar
dollar
Shave
shave.
Club.
Time, shave money.
Now we're giving them free plugs. All right, we're going to bring Kenny Rhoda in here in a second. Are we doing great, the team, Eric? We are. I want to ask you this, though, first, Tim, and I just brought this up with the tight ends. Did you ever feel like when you were in the position that there are confidence receivers you have as a quarterback, there are confidence plays you know that you can feel good about that can try to get the offense back into a rhythm? I thought the one play that worked yesterday, they only did once, was a quick pass slant, I would say, and it was to Miles Austin. And it picked up 4 or 5 yards, and I thought that was one of the kind of plays that could work yesterday. But from your perspective, if you know your tight ends are your whoopee is what I keep calling them, but is that true? Is that a true feeling for a quarterback? If I need to get the offense going, I've got to go what's tried and true, and I'm going to go to my confidence guys.
Yeah, no question. You know, I think quarterbacks always go back to what they feel comfortable with and receivers that they feel comfortable with. And you have certain guys on the roster that you want to work versus man coverage versus zone coverage in certain situations in the red zone, and you know who those guys are. And every quarterback has it, whether it be a tight end wide receiver, you have to know your receivers and know who can win in certain situations, and quarterbacks always fall back on that. And there are plays you feel comfortable with, like you said, that kind of get you started when and they did only run that one time, the play you're talking about, but those are confidence building throws that man, yesterday Brian really needed, because he just couldn't get in that rhythm. And more screen passes I wanted to see too. Just let the quarterback see the ball be completed. And, the more completions you get, the more rhythm you start to get into, the more confidence you start to get. And then I really thought Brian lost his confidence yesterday in his offensive line. I don't think he trusted his protection. He didn't trust his receivers to get open, and that affected his mechanics, and which affected his accuracy. So, all those things go into play, but there's no question quarterbacks feel comfortable and confident with certain receivers in certain situations.
Tim, who was your guy? I'm just curious when you were here.
Kevin Johnson was my main guy. We came in together as rookies, and so we were kind of starting that thing from the ground up. And Kevin was my guy that I felt like if the game was on the line, if I needed a big third down or needed to make a play, Kevin was the guy that I was going to go to. And then later in my career, we brought in a lot more talent. With Quincy Morgan, Dennis Northcutt, all those kind of guys that were able to come in and were able to spread it around a little bit. But my first couple years, it was pretty much. Just go back and throw it to KJ as many times as I could.
As soon as we're done with this show, matter of fact, I'm doing it right now. I'm texting Shay. I'm telling him what you just said.
He came in later in my career.
All right, there you go.
All right, Kenny Road is back, so we're going to do a little grade the team, and now we go to our man, Eric the referee. First grade.
All right, quarterback, Brian Hoyer.
Quarterback, we always start with the quarterback when we grade the quarterback, so we'll go to Tim Couch.
Well, I'm going to give him a D here, guys, and it's hard for me to put it all on Brian because he had no running game support yesterday. Receivers were dropping balls all over the place. He didn't have a lot of pass protection, and that's going to make any quarterback look bad. And I'm speaking from a little bit of experience here, guys. You need all that. You need all that in play to help you out. And really, outside of guys like Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers, who really don't need that run game support, they can go out and make plays. No matter what, guys like, every other quarterback really in the league, especially, guys like Brian Hoyer, they need that run game support so they can go out and be successful. And he didn't get it yesterday, so I give him a D.
All right, Tim, thank you very much. I gave him a D, too. He fell into a habit yesterday that we haven't seen in a while. We saw it in the preseason. He was forcing the ball down the field, trying to make something happen when all he needed to do was naturally let it happen. And when he starts to force things, the ball starts rising on him, and we saw that again yesterday.
He didn't have a good game, and I'll go short because I want to get to the road man's F minus. It was a D. He played really bad. I'm more down on, and I'm not making excuses, I'm more down on Shanahan that he didn't have a backup plan. You have to have backup plans in life and in football. You can't have one game plan and think it's going to get you through. I just felt like they let him down. They really did.
The only reason I didn't give him an F2 was because there was no running game and the offensive line was what it was. All right, Kenny, give us your F minus.
Mr. Wide Open, Jordan Cameron for a touchdown that would have changed the entire game from his confidence to the plays they would have called. Jacksonville would have been doubting themselves at that point. To me, you pick out 2 or 3 plays every game, the punt return fumble, the decisions on 4th down by Patton, and that one there, to me, you can't miss that. That's one of your go-to guys. He's your playmaker on the field. He makes a play. You didn't get much help, but he makes a play, and you didn't. And then some of the things you guys said, forcing the ball. We're asking him to be more than a game manager, right? All of a sudden we're hearing the last few weeks, oh, he's more than a game manager. He needs to step up and make plays against the worst team or one of the worst teams in the NFL, a winless team, and he failed to do so yesterday. So while he got a lot of the credit for beating Pittsburgh last week and everything, and Tim knows this, sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's not. The quarterback gets too much credit when they win and too much blame when they lose. But for me yesterday, he was the leader of that team a week ago. He's still the leader yesterday, and he did not come through on a play that was wide open. And then when they needed him to make plays with a lot of other guys banged up and not getting much out of the running game. So that's why I gave him the grade I did.
All right, Eric the referee, next.
All right, Mike Pettin made a couple questionable calls, especially that first 4th and 1 in the first half. Grade, Mike Pettin.
Yeah, mine's easy. I gave him an F. They lost yesterday. He made bad mistakes as a coach. He looked like a rookie head coach yesterday. It's easy for me to say that today. I will say that. But if it's a pass-fail league for the head coach, he failed.
He definitely failed. I went D- and probably could have went F. I've got problems outside of the 4th down play calls. I felt like he brought in a bunch of zombies. They weren't prepared. It's great that he could come out and say that it was a trap game. And I keep going back to this, guys. I think a great coaching staff is a coaching staff that has plan B, plan C, plan D. I didn't see any of those. I saw a team of coaches that they looked like the bus that ran them over. They weren't expected to get beat like that. You can't have that in the NFL. You got to be prepared. They've got to start better on the road.
What were you saying?
I said it's tough winning with the JV team. The varsity team sat out this game.
So are you on my tweet from yesterday?
Yes.
I said yesterday in the fourth quarter, I said it's time for the varsity to show up.
To show up, well, you said also the game starting at 2:59, didn't you?
Yeah, I was trying to get the game going. That's my running joke. All right, let's go to Kenny Rhoda. Hey, Kenny.
I gave him an F-. He and Hoyer got the same grade, F-. Game plan to start the game. I figured, okay, it's Jacksonville. I tweeted this out. Hey, at least they're not down 24 points at halftime. They're only down, 1 point at halftime?
Yeah.
So plenty of time to come back because they're a second-half team. And the adjustments we've seen throughout the year didn't show up yesterday. And then you add in the 2 fourth-down decisions, not to have Jim Leonard back there. Terrence West is in the game instead of Crowell or Ben Tate to pick up that 3rd and 1 situation. The 4th down call, I know some of it's because of Shanahan and O'Neal, but the head man who put them in charge is Mike Pettin. So F-, worst game of his young coaching career.
Is that a Steelers Playboy bunny behind you now? Is that new?
He's had that.
No,
that
that was
Playboy
there
Bunny been
last
there
week.
every
That
week?
was from the 2002 Playboy Open that I played in.
Oh, excuse me.
That's the road man's cave, man. He's got good stuff back there. He's back, baby.
All right. Tim, on the coaching.
Oh, guys, you all said it all. I agree with all that. There was questionable decisions on the 4th down. The decision to take Jim Leonard out on the punt. I think Jim is not going to return the football, obviously, but he's going to make a good decision whether to field it or not, and he's going to catch it for sure. But just bad all the way around. There was no in-game adjustments, which I thought Mike Pettin and his staff has been tremendous at all season long. This game, it didn't happen. They had one game plan coming in. They were going to try to run the football against that front 7 in Jacksonville. It didn't happen at all, and then they couldn't adjust after that. So it was a D- for me.
Tim, I got to ask you this because you're the only one that can answer it. When you walk back in the locker room today and you realize that your coach was an F, do you look at him with a third eye, and is it hard to trust the coaching staff again?
It's not, because I think it's such a tough season. It's such a long season in the NFL that, you're going to have these highs and lows. And I think Mike Pettin has done such an outstanding job so far this year, and he's earned the respect from the guys in the locker room that, they're going to look at him and say, hey, okay, we had one bad game. We had an off game. We didn't play well as players. The coaching staff didn't coach well. There's so much that everyone can improve on. I think they have a ton of confidence in Mike Pettin, and they'll believe in him. I don't think they'll look at him any differently than they have, these first few weeks.
True leaders will look at themselves and say, what did I do wrong, right?
Exactly.
All right. Next one, Eric.